Hey guys, it's Palmer and welcome to Minecraft mods, and today I have a mod for you called the Lanterns mod. This mod has a lantern and multiple versions of it. They emit light and they essentially replace torches. Let's go ahead and check out the recipes for this mod. And the first thing we're going to make here is called the lantern. I am now holding it in my hand. The recipe for this thing is pretty simple. All it is a string in the center, a glass block in the center left, one on the center right, iron ingots on the top, and on the bottom we then have our lantern. To use it, it's also very easy. Go ahead and hold it in your hand, right click, it's now on, right click, it's now off, and there you go. That is the basic controls for the lantern, but there is some stipulations to it. The first one is it must be in your hotbar and you must have flint and steel in your inventory somewhere. And that's because in order to light any lantern or version of it, you must have flint and steel in your inventory. So you must have flint and steel in your inventory in order to light this thing. So let's go and turn this thing on, and I'll place it into my inventory. You'll see that it turns off. If I go and throw out the flint and steel and I try to light this thing, you'll see that the lantern will not turn on when I right click. So you must have flint and steel. Now let's go and turn this thing on and check it out from the third person point of view. Basically, think of this thing as a torch that is always with you. It's pretty great. It's great for exploring a cave or venturing out into the wild. It's nice to have with you. It's always there as long as it's in your hotbar and it's on. It will be emitting light, and it's great. Of course, unless it runs out of fuel, then you're kind of screwed. But we'll cover that here in a little bit. So, next thing we're going to talk about is called the headlamp. There is two recipes for this thing. They're essentially the same recipes. It's a little different. The first one is right here. It's a lantern in the center with some leather helmet. Basically just make a helmet out of leather. You have your head torch. The other optional recipe for it is the same thing basically. It's a lantern in the center with a leather helmet on the top. You have your head torch. They're pretty much the same thing, as you can see, and they both make the same thing. There's no difference between the two. And if I go ahead and open my inventory up, you can see that I'm wearing a head torch right now, and it takes the slot of my helmet. So there's a downside to the lantern and to the head torch, and a plus side to both of them. So basically, the lantern downside is that it takes up one hotbar slot, but it doesn't take up a helmet slot. The head torch doesn't take a hotbar slot up, but it takes a helmet slot up. So you gotta pick and choose there. If you're out fighting, you probably want to use the lantern. If you're exploring, you might want to use the head torch because you can obviously have one more extra slot in your hotbar. Now I should say that this head torch does not provide any armor, so it does not protect you from damage. That's why it's a pretty much a kind of like it's a very bad disadvantage if you're out fighting. But other than that, they're pretty much the same thing as far as lighting goes. So if I go ahead and press F on my keyboard, you'll see that my head torch will light up, and F again it turns off. So that is the controls for the head torch. F for on, F for off. Very simple. It's the same exact thing as the lantern, except it's on your head. And that's it for the head torch. Next up is the lantern minecart, and this thing's pretty cool. And here it is right here. It's made out of a lantern in the center, a minecart in the center bottom, and that makes the lantern minecart. And here it is in action. So to turn this thing on, hold shift and right click. The lantern on the minecart is now on. Shift and right click again, it turns off. Now there's more to it than just that. It's pretty cool. So in the config file for this mod, there are two options. The first option gives you the lantern will match the state of the activation rail. So if the activation rail is powered on, the lantern will turn on. If it's unpowered, it'll turn off. I have it set to option 2, where it toggles between on and off when it passes over a powered activated rail, and when it passes over an unpowered activated rail, it will do nothing. So if I nudge this thing, you'll see that it turns on when it passes over the activated rail because it's powered. It turns off, and there you go. That's pretty cool stuff. You can probably do something very, very creative with this thing, except I'm not very creative, so I made this. But if you're creative, you can think of something pretty awesome, maybe a whole bunch of minecarts. I can envision it, but I don't have the skills to make it happen. So next up is the lantern hook. That is it right there. It's made of a iron ingot in the center with some wooden planks on the top and one on the side. So here's the lantern hook. Here it is in action. you can simply right click on it to grab the lantern that's on the hook, right click again to place the lantern, and there you go. Now turn this thing on or off, go ahead and hold shift, right click, it turns it on, shift right click, it turns it off. Pretty cool. It's a nice lighting theme. Instead of having a torch there, you can put a lantern, and I think it looks a lot nicer. So now for the next part of the mod, this is how you fuel the lanterns because in the head torch, because you need fuel, otherwise you're going to run out. As you can see, for my lantern, it currently has about 27 minutes left of light. So eventually you have to refuel it at some point in time. The head torch and the lantern can hold a maximum of 30 minutes of light. And there's multiple ways to get more fuel. The first way is to smelt down some stuff. The first, so right here we have a thing called a slab of meat. It's made of 9 zombie flesh, and with this slab of meat you can go ahead and smelt it down into some animal fat. And if you go ahead and smelt down some steak, you'll get animal fat. If you smelt down some pork, you'll also get some animal fat. With this animal fat, you can then go ahead and place it into your crafting table and make some bottled fat, which is this right here. I have my hand, and put this into your furnace, smelt it down, and you'll get lantern oil. This is one source of fuel for your lanterns, and the next source is a more renewable source. It's made out of sugar water. So this right here is a recipe to make the sugar water. All it is a bottle of water in the center, surrounded with sugar, and you're gonna get your sugar water. Now, the sugar water takes 15 minutes to, I guess, ferment and turn into bio oil. As you can see, it's now 95% fermented. 5% it'll turn into bio oil. They're the same exact thing. Bio oil and lantern oil are the same exact thing. There's no difference as far as the amount of light it'll refuel. Of course, there's a difference between how you get them, but making them, they're the same thing. So this one's almost done. Probably by the end of the video, you'll see it change to bio oil. But let's go ahead and refill this lantern, and let's place it into our crafting table here. We'll put it right there. We'll use our lantern oil, and you'll see that it's now full because it gives 5 minutes per lantern oil or bio oil, and it'll go over, so we'll be at full. Pretty cool stuff, and this thing's almost there, 97%. It might not finish in time, but that's alright. I have to say, guys, this mod's pretty cool. I like it, especially if you're like an adventurer or some sort. It's great to have with you. You could use this lantern minecart for in your mine shaft to light things up, or make some cool creation out of it. Lantern itself on the hook is great for lighting your house up. It's awesome. Oh, I forgot one thing. I apologize. And that is, with this mod, it adds lamplighter villagers. So at a village, you're able to find a new villager that's called a lamplighter, and these lamp hooks will also spawn in the villages. But basically, this lamplighter villager will turn on and turn off these lamps at dusk or in the morning. So it's pretty cool. If you can manage to find one of these, I could not find a village to show you, but if you can take one home to your house and you have one of these lanterns set up at nighttime, it'll turn the light on for you, and in the morning it'll turn it off. So it's pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty sweet. So that's great to have with you. And I should say that these lamplighter villagers are able to see the lantern hooks from up to 16 blocks away, and that is the lamplighter villager. And I believe I covered everything, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like or a comment and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I will see you guys next time. This mod is definitely, I like it, I'm not gonna lie here. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time, and bye.